Welcome to the Jerry Gray Channel. It's a channel that talks about narcissism. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump straight into the topic. But first, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's jump into it. When you're being abused by a narcissist, it feels extremely personal. It feels like this is nothing more personal than that. And it's mainly because of the boundaries that they cross. Like the things that you guys are doing are just so abnormal. It's so boundary crossing that it feels personal, even if it's not. And so it's a confusing thing, and it makes it harder to forget that person. It makes it harder to move on because a part of you felt like you were just violated. Like it just feels personal. And so this video is going to show you why narcissism is absolutely not personal at all. The old definition of a narcissist is a person who's really into themselves. And that has changed recently. Now people think of narcissists as people who are just seeking supply. But I want to reintroduce the idea of them being so into themselves that their attacks just aren't personal, because it's not really about you, it's about them. They're too selfish to really be analyzing you any more than what they have to dominate you. So believe it or not, their attacks are general. It's about you because you're the person being attacked right then and there, but it's not really. It's about the weakness of all people. Like, we all have the same weaknesses. And the narcissist uses each person, each experience like a video game. It's like, he's fighting through the levels, getting better and better at it, trying to master his video game. So for you to come around, you're just another artificial player in the game. You're the computer. You're somebody else who's online that he has to take down. He's trying to figure you out, but not really have to know you at the same time. He doesn't really care enough. He knows, he wants to know enough to defeat you, but he doesn't really want to get into your backstory. Like in a video game, he skips the backstories whenever that plays after you beat the level. He'll just skip right through all that. He doesn't care, or she doesn't care. So it's not personal. Another reason why it's not personal is because even though it seems like they are a wonderful person to everybody that they meet, because they need to gain their approval so that they can fit in and just basically pick and choose once they fit in and snipe. The narcissists are they're snipers. They're not Rambo. So they make sure that they fit in. They make sure they're they try to be the golden child in every situation. They try to be the center of the party, and just a wonderful person. And you would think that they're like that all the time, but really, as soon as they're offended, if somebody says anything, if somebody's not buying their act, they treat them just like how they would treat you. The same type of treatment. They say the same things. They do the same routine. It's not personal. One reason why it feels personal is because they have crossed your boundaries. You've given them too much information, and they take that and they've taken a piece of you with the information and crossing the boundaries. Like, that's a deadly combination, and it makes it where everything they do from that point feels personal. The narcissist wants things to feel personal because once it does, it makes you react to them even more. And that's what they want. They want you to have huge reactions so that when they react and they get the drama and everything going, and the mud's flying and the words are getting tossed around like salad and everything's going, they can slip in anything and blame it on you. This is why they have to get you to filter yourself through them. They have to have you try to come to them for approval on your own thoughts, your own inclinations, the things that you get from God, your gifts, what you should do with them. you get your gift from God, and you're like, hey, well, let me get my narcissist opinion about this. No, that's from God. Why are you even going to them? But that's what they want. They want you to filter yourself through them so that it becomes more personal. All right, so what happens when the narcissist realizes that you are not taking things personal? The first thing they do is they threaten you. That's the first move. They make sure that even if you logically, mentally don't take them serious anymore, you don't take what they're doing at a personal level, what they'll do is make sure that on a physical level, you're responding to them. They gotta have that. They gotta have some type of response. So they'll threaten you, whether it's physically or in a roundabout way. And it doesn't have to be anything that's direct, where they're just straight threatening you. It's like all of a sudden, if you guys are sharing a household, maybe they don't pay a bill, or they're threatening not to pay something, or something that is going to come up where it gets your heart racing again. And that's just in general. They could do that at a job. You and them, they start being combative about who's going to do something, and you guys both need, you know that it has to be done, but instead of them, it's their turn, or whatever, and they decide not to do it, and you guys are going back and forth, and at the end of the day, it's starting to get down to the wire where this thing needs to be done, and now, you know, there's some anxiety there, there's something there to get your heart going again, just because if you don't respond to me mentally, you're going to respond to me physically. That's what they're doing. And what that does is, once you start responding physically to them, then that makes it where it's harder to sleep at night. That makes it where your muscles and your nerves and everything starts to get tired. They wear you down, and then you become more sensitive, because that's what happens when you get tired. You get exhausted, your nerves get tired, and you start to respond again and start to take things personally again. And it's a cycle. So you got to cut that off as well, and just be smarter than that. You know what it is. You know, you don't play in those games. You don't have standoffs. That's another way of threatening somebody. It's just with a standoff, like trying to make a standoff about every little thing going on, just to get you going, just to get you in the fight or flight, just to get you exhausted, just to get your heart racing and get you going again. But you can beat all of this if you just know what their moves are. You know not to take things personally, and now you know that the next move for them is almost always a threat. It's gonna probably be a standoff about something, and you know it's coming, so you don't play that game, and you don't stay up wondering who's gonna do what. You do the adult thing. If they're not gonna do what they're supposed to do, what they're getting paid for, you got to get to who's in charge. You got to start making moves like an adult. You never sit around and wait and be reactionary like a child would. You take control, and that's how you win. You're not a video game. You're not in a video game. You're a person who does. Yeah, you're not a video game. You're a person, and that might be news to you. But that's not news to the narc. They think that you're something that does no better than a video game. But yeah, so reassert your boundaries and make sure that you don't get into this cycle of standoffs, this cycle of whether somebody's taking you seriously, whether people are respecting what you said, or giving people personal information, and then you don't get into all this. It's a cycle. Keep your personal information to yourself. Keep your personal thoughts to yourself, and don't get into standoffs. Don't play those type of games, and you'll be good. That's what it is, folk. Peace.